Welcome to another episode of Mountain Standard True Crime. I'm Michelle Carlson. Thank you for watching and or listening. Today I'm going to share with you a sad and disturbing true crime story out of Gilbert, Arizona. On October 30th, 2023, a violent group of teenagers belonging to a street gang called the Gilbert Goons beat an innocent 16-year-old Preston Lord to death in the street outside of a Halloween house party. Here we go. Gilbert, Arizona was incorporated in 1920. It became known as the hay shipping capital of the world due to its shipping of hay on the Arizona Eastern Railway. Gilbert's current population estimate of just over 288,000 doubled every 5 years from 1980 to 2000. By 2030, Gilbert is expected to be fully built out with an anticipated population of over 330,000. While Gilbert is growing to be one of the largest municipalities in Arizona, the community remains youthful and vibrant, with a median age of 34.5 and 67% of the population is under the age of 45. Gilbert provides an abundant pipeline of talent to support the growth of business and industry. Gilbert is on the border of Queen Creek, Arizona. Approximately 74% of Gilbert's psychographic makeup consists of up-and-coming families, boom burbs, and workday drive. These groups are characterized as being younger families with median ages in the low to mid-30s, focused on planting roots in the suburban periphery of metro areas. They are well educated, with 70% having some form of college education and over 50% having a college degree. And these groups are hardworking, with a population labor force participation rate of over 70%. Gilbert, Arizona's master plan community, Morrison Ranch, is a suburban oasis for mostly upper-class white families. Amongst this community is a group of entitled teenagers, self-named the Gilbert Goons, who have been harassing and intimidating teenagers as well as being vandals. They're known to use brass knuckles, gel pellets, and airsoft guns to assault people and prey on their victims at fast food restaurants, parties, parking garages, and public parks. This gang of teenage criminals first came to my attention when members of the Gilbert Goons were charged in this brutal and tragic beating death of 16-year-old Preston Lord. The police report of the investigation into Preston's murder is 1,110 pages long and creates a timeline of events in this incredibly sad case. The timeline of events were made public, and I'm now going to share them with you. Saturday, October 28th, 2023, 9:07 p.m. Queens Creek Police Department's non-emergency line receives a call about a possible disturbance involving juveniles near 194th and Via del Oro. Teens were seen leaving the area, but no illegal activity was observed, and officers were diverted to another call. According to witnesses, Lord and his friends were leaving the house party when witnesses said they were targeted by another group of partygoers who first snatched a necklace from Lord's friend. A scuffle ensued, and the teen who owned the necklace was punched in the head. Lord's friends panicked and fled, and the attackers gave chase. Lord didn't make it far, witnesses said. His attackers knocked him to the ground, then punched, kicked, and stomped him. 9:49 p.m. QCPD receives a 911 call about an assault in the area of 194th Street and Via del Rancho. Officers arrived within 3 minutes and found a teen lying in the roadway. Lord was found unconscious in the street, where rescuers performed CPR on him. After authorities arrived, he was transferred to Chandler Regional Medical Center, where imaging showed extensive hemorrhaging. To receive a higher level of care, Lord was transferred to Phoenix Children's Hospital, where scans of his head, face, and neck area of his spine also showed extensive hemorrhaging and other issues. No fractures to his face or neck area of his spine were identified, the report said. Lord was treated for a traumatic brain injury after medical personnel found there was, quote, absence of clear cerebral activity. On October 30th, he died after being taken off of life support. Preston Lord died at Phoenix Children's Hospital on Monday, October 30th, from multiple blunt force injuries to his head, neck, arms, and legs. The medical examiner report released Friday night showed that Lord was not drinking or using drugs when he attended the October 28th party, where he was the victim of a gang-style attack. Preston William Lord's life was taken a month after his 16th birthday. He had just passed his driver's test. He was a member of his high school basketball and golf teams. He loved his family, friends, hooping, gaming, theme parks, Marvel, M&Ms, the beach, the color orange, cool fall days, holidays, pizza, and burgers. And he had just recently discovered his joy for golf. Preston was known for his unwavering love for the Seahawks and Celtics and loved bantering about his teams with family and friends. He loved and appreciated going to packed stadiums and watching his favorite teams surrounded by fellow fans, just as equally as being at home watching games on Sundays with mom or dad. His numeracy skills landed him the role of statistician for he and his friends' family fantasy football league. Preston was content with what he had. Unless he had his eye on a new pair of Jordans or a game that he wanted, he preferred to save his money. He'd always help or cover the cost of things if people didn't have enough. Preston was loyal, trustworthy, and responsible. He had empathy for children and was gentle and kind. He stood up for the weaker person and knew the difference between right or wrong. He inspired many people to be better and to do better. Although he had many friendships, there was no one he looked up to and admired more than his big sissy. Preston was very academic and has received many scholastic honors, most recently his sophomore academic letter and pin. Additionally, he participated in various school leadership roles, including vice president of National Junior High Honor Society, president of his elementary student council, as well as sophomore class historian. Preston was also awarded the 2023 President's Education Award from the U.S. Secretary of Education. His leadership skills were recognized when he earned the National Student Council Distinguished Student Leader Award. This kid reminds me a lot of my sons, similar personalities, and it just makes me sick. This kid was he was going places. This kid had a bright future ahead of him. Preston is survived by his mother, Autumn Lord, his father, Nicholas Lord, his sister, Tatum Lord, his stepmother, Melissa Siconti, his grandparents, Tony and Luann Reich, and Edward W. Lord, his great-grandfather, Edward F. Lord, his uncle and aunt, Sean and Rina Curiel, their children, Shuni and Amy, his uncle and aunt, Nate and Melissa Lord, and their children, Riley, Brady, and Aubrey. And my apologies if I mispronounced any of those names. A teenage house party was thrown in the Morrison Ranch community on October 28, 2023. According to the police report, several fights broke out at the party house, including Dominic Turner taking a $10 chain off of one of Preston Lord's friends, as well as Talon Renner getting upset over someone taking a video of one of his friends who was wearing brass knuckles at the time. The police report states that Talon texted an unknown person the night of the party saying, "Got in a fight, ... killed a kid, ... Guess I don't know my own strength." Discovery of this information put Talon Renner at the top of the initial suspect list. A Snapchat post circulating that day advertised a, quote, Halloween costume rager with the address of the home that became the scene of the crime. The post also advertised free alcohol at the party, according to police documents. Police later questioned the parents who owned the home, identified as Roberto and Emily, who said they did not know about the flyer offering free booze at their house. They also told police there was no way the teenagers could have accessed alcohol at their home. Quote, "It should be noted that when speaking with Roberto and Emily, I noticed that they both appeared to be drinking. Emily would look at me, but was not speaking much during the interaction. She appeared to have a slight sway to her stance. Emily also had watery and bloodshot eyes. I then noticed that Roberto had watery and bloodshot eyes. They had slurred speech, and there was an odor of alcohol coming from their person," a police officer wrote. The October 28th party at their house attracted a crowd of more than 200 teenagers from over a dozen local high schools, all wearing Halloween costumes. One teenager's parents hosted the teens in their yard while they apparently drank inside, police reports show. The homicide investigation resulted in the arrest of 7 suspects in March 2024. Talon Renner, 17, Talon Vigil, 17, William Owen Hines, 18, Dominic Turner, 20, Taylor Sherman, 19, Preston Billy, 18, and Jacob Meisner, 17. Authorities said, according to KPNX, azfamily.com, and Fox 10 Phoenix. All of the defendants are being charged as adults. The suspects, all of whom face first-degree murder and kidnapping charges, have pleaded not guilty, azfamily.com reported. Turner and Meisner are additionally charged with aggravated robbery. In a March statement obtained by NBC News following the arrests, Lord's parents, Nick Lord and Autumn Curiel, said through their lawyer, "But for law enforcement's collective efforts and community members' invaluable cooperation, these arrests would not have happened. Each arrest represents a step towards accountability and justice for our son Preston." Hines and Meisner have been charged in connection with 3 other beating cases in Gilbert and Mesa. It is reported that Renner was allegedly aided by his family, who moved him out of town following the attack. The allegations are made in the report by the ex-girlfriend of Travis Renner, Talon's father. According to a police document, Travis Renner's ex-girlfriend chose to speak with police after witnessing what she saw was a lack of remorse on behalf of Talon following Lord's death. She also told the Republic that electronic calendar data was backdated to make it appear the teen had left town before October 28th. She said that she heard discussions about the events of October 28th between the two, and she was told Renner's son instigated the attack and threw punches. She also said the pair referred to the attacks as a kind of, quote, initiation, unquote, saying that Renner's son wanted to participate in. She also said the business partner made plans to pin the killing on another boy with the same first name as Renner's son, although it is spelled differently. She claimed they wanted to use the names to confuse authorities about who did what and shift suspicion away from his son. The Queen Creek Police Department unearthed new details about how Renner was moved by his father, Travis Renner, to the family's $850,000 cabin in Show Low, 3 hours away from his home, days after Lord's death, according to documents reviewed by azfamily.com. The girlfriend also reported that Talon Renner, quote, holds in a lot of aggression and when he snaps, end quote. In April of 2024, 17-year-old Talon Vigil posted the originally ordered $1 million bond and was released from custody. Last month, Taylor Sherman's lawyer argued his bond should be lowered to $100,000 from the $1 million that was set in March after he was arrested on murder and kidnapping charges. The judge lowered it to $250,000 on Tuesday. Sherman posted bail and he was later released. Court documents said Sherman's lawyer argued the $1 million was excessive since he and his family aren't rich and he isn't a flight risk. He also argued the 19-year-old didn't physically attack Lord in December and was not a member of the so-called Gilbert Goons that was involved in the crime. Quote, Mr. Sherman was present but not involved in the victim's death, end quote. Joseph Tobler, Sherman's attorney, said. His non-affiliation with the group suggests a lower likelihood of future criminal conduct. In court, the defense attorneys shared concerns over the mountain of evidence they're pouring through. One lawyer claimed he has already received 6,000 pages, 200 body camera videos, and 400 potential witnesses. More is also expected. Meanwhile, prosecutors said there's hours of video. The presiding judge stressed that he believes a July 2025 trial date is realistic, while also acknowledging what he called a, quote, Herculean effort of pouring through the massive amount of evidence. After going through a laundry list of motions and setting dates, the presiding judge said that they would continue meeting for updates. A few of the defendants have had lower bond, and others are trying to get theirs reduced as well. Court documents revealed that none of the suspects knew Lord before the night of the beating. That just blows my mind. They didn't even know him, but they, had so much rage towards him over who knows. Judge Bruce R. Cohen told their attorneys he wants to keep the case on track to go to trial on July 21st, 2025. Cohen said the case is moving forward and he doesn't want all the defendants in the courtroom at once if they can avoid it. So they will have some non-appearance conferences to not only streamline this complex case, but to mitigate the toll this is taking on Lord's family. If any of these defendants were to be convicted of murder, there would also likely be decades worth of appeals. The next court date set in this case is for 17-year-old Renner in September. He's being held on $1 million bond, but his lawyer has filed a motion to change his release conditions. Preston Billy posted bail after the bond was reduced to $500,000. Preston Lord's friends and family supported each other outside of the courtroom. They were all dressed in orange, Preston's favorite color. On September 3rd, Judge Bruce Cohen lowered Dominic Turner's bond to $250,000. Meanwhile, Jacob Meisner's bond was reduced to $350,000, while Talon Renner's bond was lowered to $500,000. Renner reportedly comes from a family with considerable means. Bond was initially set at $1 million for all of the defendants. Attorneys for Meisner, Renner, and Turner argued the three are not flight risks, nor do they present a danger to the community. Members of Lord's family, donned in orange, also spoke in the court. They gave emotional testimonies and begged the judge to not lower the bonds. Even with a reduced bail, Meisner and Renner, both 17, cannot post bail until they are transferred to the adult justice system when they turn 18. Renner will remain in custody until at least October, and Meisner until at least January 2025. Dominic Turner, 20, was released from custody on October 5th and placed on electronic monitoring, according to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. The Goons are known for recording videos of assaults and underage drinking, some of which ended up on social media apps like Snapchat, which allows users to send photos that disappear immediately after they have been opened by the recipient. I used to believe that that was true, but sometimes you are able to save some of those videos or clips of those videos, I've learned. Some of the members fought with brass knuckles, according to various witness accounts. A witness who grew up with some of the members told police in an interview after Lord's death that the Goons began a long time ago when this friend group was in elementary school and middle school. She specifically mentioned Meisner, Renner, and a third Goon, who was not charged in Lord's murder, as members of the group who became best friends in 6th grade. She stated the group calls themselves the Goonies or the G's. She described it as more of a large friend group that hangs out. She stated she was called a goon up until recently, a police report states. She confirmed she has recorded some of the past fights involving the Goons. She stated the girls' job was to stay out of the way while their boyfriends took care of the job. She said what made her a Gilbert Goon is just by hanging out and drinking. Multiple videos of violent attacks allegedly committed by the Goons can be found on YouTube. Jacob Pennington was scheduled on June 10th for an assault in November 2023. He was sentenced to 3 years of supervised probation and 120 days of deferred jail time. He was sentenced again on June 13th for a Gilbert assault in 2022 and was given 3 years of supervised probation. Then this genius was arrested again on the same day of his sentencing for underage drinking and was given 10 days in jail as a result. On August 7th, the first prison sentence was handed down for a suspect associated with East Valley youth violence. The brother of Jacob Pennington, Noah Lee Pennington, 19, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for his role in incidents between December 2022 and May 2023. Pennington, who was found guilty on all 2 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of aggravated robbery, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, will be subject to 2 years of supervised probation upon his release. On Thursday, September 26th, 19-year-old Gage Garrison was sentenced to 3 years of probation in Arizona. The state alleges that Garrison is linked to the so-called Gilbert Goons, who are tied to several other teen violence investigations. Garrison was named in a case related to the death of Preston Lord. However, he was not indicted as part of the Lord homicide case. Gage Garrison, 19, was charged earlier this year in beatings at a house party and a parking garage, which occurred within 2 weeks of each other in December 2022. He pleaded guilty in August. A judge recently gave Garrison 3 years probation for each case, but the sentences will run concurrently. Garrison was also ordered to complete 100 hours of community service for each case. He was also ordered to 60 days in jail, with 3 days credit, which is set to begin in March. That could be deferred or removed completely based on recommendations made by the Adult Probation Department, according to court records. Just this last couple of weeks, on November 1st, Tyler Freeman, 18, was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for his involvement in 2 assaults in Queen Creek and Gilbert. Both attacks were associated with the Gilbert Goons. Freeman pleaded guilty to the 2 assaults, including one at a Gilbert In-N-Out burger restaurant and another at a house party in Queen Creek. Prosecutors told the judge, in their opinion, Freeman had not changed and played a series of phone calls made while the teen was in custody. In those calls, Freeman was heard threatening people with violence once he was released, insulting Preston Lord, and joking about using violence while in custody. One of the assault victims said his head was split open when Freeman wailed on him with brass knuckles at the house party. In the attack at the In-N-Out restaurant, Freeman was charged with assault, along with Owen Hines and Jacob Pennington. Hines is one of 7 suspects in the murder of Preston Lord, the cage that brought the alleged tolerance of the East Valley violence explosion by the Gilbert Goons finally to the forefront of the local news cycle. From what I have read, there are residents in the area that have been complaining about this teen violence for months and months, if not years. And it just kind of was not investigated like it should have been until, unfortunately, there was a death at their hands. Preston Lord's family has filed a civil wrongful death lawsuit. It names all 7 suspects in his murder, the parents of suspects Talon Renner and Jacob Meisner. It also names the owners of the home where the Halloween party took place. The complaint alleges negligence, battery, and aiding and abetting torturous conduct against all 7 of the suspects. The complaint also alleges negligence naming Becky and Travis Renner, the parents of teen suspect Talon Renner. It reads in part, quote, as the natural parents or legal guardians of defendant Talon Renner knew or should have known of their son's propensity to engage in violence. It also lists 3 specific alleged incidents involving Renner. We will keep you updated on the Preston Lord murder case and any additional Gilbert Goon cases or sentencings. In my opinion, these are all just a bunch of entitled thugs who have been getting away with ridiculous amounts of crime for, sounds like since they were not even teenagers, maybe before they were teens. And hopefully some of them finally start having to be held accountable for what they're doing. This episode is dedicated to Preston Lord and other victims of physical and emotional violence at the hands of the Gilbert Goons and their associated criminals. May Preston's family someday, somehow, find the peace, and we hope that his attackers/murderers are held accountable for this senseless act of violence. As a parent, this story is one that reminded me of one of my biggest fears for my kids growing up, which is being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Preston did nothing wrong. He was a good kid who did not deserve this, nor did his family. I'm pretty sure that if my child was one of the kids who assaulted Preston, I would want them to be held accountable for their actions and would definitely not impede an investigation in any way. Our children were taught growing up that there is no place for bullying or treating anyone as less than you, and that if they did participate in bullying or any behavior like that, they would be in deep shit. Our baby is 19, and I still feel fear for him being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and we still talk about situations like this story. Trusting your gut, trusting your instinct, and simply removing yourself from a situation or environment. You don't owe it to anyone to tell anyone why you're leaving or that you're leaving or why you're leaving. Just leave if you get the feeling that you should not be there. Those are my unsolicited words of advice. If you haven't yet, please like this episode and subscribe to our channel, Mountain Standard True Crime on YouTube. It's free. We would also really appreciate it if you would share our episodes with other true crime junkies. Thank you for watching and or listening. Please be aware of your surroundings and stay safe always.